If you're somebody who's hit a certain level of success, but you still have this yearning for more, or you feel stuck in a certain pattern or a cycle, today is the episode that you are going to want to watch. I am sitting here with Jerrid Sebesta. This guy literally uprooted his life. He was a very successful meteorologist. He was on TV. He had a very successful career and left it all to pursue his dream. And he is on a mission to help people get unstuck and pursue that dream. Well, first off, thanks for, you're back in Arizona, right?
Dude, this is awesome. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You were a meteorologist here?
Yeah. I don't know how many TV weathermen you've ever had on the show, but
never.
Never?
Not even one.
It might be the last, depending on how well this goes.
That's awesome.
We have the same hair, so I think this is going to go really
well. I think
well.
That's why I saw you. I was like, I got to get this guy on the show. But I never want to take a picture next to you. So because I'm 5'6" and you're what?
Well, 6'6"-ish.
Like there's an entire foot difference between us. It's embarrassing.
I was one of the shortest guys on my college basketball team.
I don't believe it. I literally do not believe this. But this is good. Okay, so what triggered the mindset shift from chasing external success to really looking internal and doing what none of us ever do and pursuing that next level dream you had?
Yeah. Well, it was either a little bit of faith or audacity or stupidity or maybe a little bit of all. Yeah, I was a TV weatherman for a number of years. I worked here in the Phoenix Metro. It was kind of the middle of my career and made it back to my home state of Minnesota after.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, right. It was right out. I showed up right before the housing crash of 2007. Lucky me. It was awesome for like 6 months, and then after that, it went downhill. After that,
what went downhill?
Well, I showed up, and this is like pre-crash, so like TV was clicking. This is back when TV was a really big deal.
Real quick, I'm not interrupting you, but when you say crash, most people listening are thinking housing market. Yeah. And while that was probably tied to it, what crash are you talking about?
Well, I'm talking, again, the world kind of crashed at that point. So, going back to my time in Phoenix, like it was a party for like the first, couple of weeks, and then everything kind of got weird. I happened to be in Phoenix during that very specific, window of time, which is kind of ironic. Got back to Minnesota. But interestingly enough, like even when I was down here in Phoenix, I remember talking to my wife, and it's just like, I don't know if TV is going to be like, I don't know if I'm going to retire a TV weatherman. And by the way, opportunities kept coming my way. It wasn't like I had passed my peak, you know what I mean? But
you could have been the Al Roker of weathermen, right? Like
if you stay in it long enough, you will be, kind of quote unquote legendary. Everybody knows these TV people that they've watched for literally 20, 30 years, and they've got longevity, so therefore they're kind of TV legends. So I could have taken it as far really as I wanted to. Made it back to Minnesota. My wife and I are from Minnesota. Made it to the legendary station. It's called Care 11. And so there I am in my lower 30s, kind of living the dream, doing all the things that none of my friends ever had a chance to do, like meet celebrities, meet bands. I threw out the first pitch at a Twins game. I played basketball at the Harlem Globetrotters. I'm getting paid to basically play, right? There was no accountability for anything I said, so it didn't matter what I did. You're kind of
explain that. There's literally no accountability, right? Yeah.
There's nothing to explain. There is no accountability.
What were you saying in Phoenix? It's like it's sunny tomorrow. It's sunny again.
Yeah, it was the hard part about doing weather in Phoenix was trying to make 90 seconds of weather exciting. That's what it was. But I will say this, since you're based here, if there was a raindrop falling anywhere, it was like death red alerts. You know what I mean? This is a true story. I don't think I've ever literally ever shared this, but like the first time that I was covering severe weather here in Phoenix, I came from the Midwest where we downplayed everything. We want to like let's just take it slow here. Let's not freak out. So the first time I was covering severe weather, like on the 5, 6, and 10 weekday news, of course, the whole show was all about weather, and my whole mantra was like, let's just everybody relax. You know what I mean? I'm the small town Midwesterner, and no kidding, my news director after the show, he called me out in front of everybody. He goes, "Don't ever do that again."
Wow.
Meaning he's like, you amp it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, okay. I have to understand where we are now, right? And then I moved back to Minnesota, and I had to revert back to it's all good, it's all chill. We're all going to be
They wanted sensationalism.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
So if it bleeds, it leads, as they say.
This is good. Yeah, I love this.
You just described the Phoenix news market. That's the way it was. So, but even after I got to Minnesota, even though I was on fire. Like I was my stock prices were growing very, very quickly. I had my hashtag. I had my own Twitter hashtag. If you remember Twitter. It was called #Blame Jerrid. I got blamed for all the horrible weather in Minnesota. It was literally my brand where I would go. People would be like, Jerrid, hey, Jerrid, what's up? Blame Jerrid, and
So you had a certain level of celebrity.
Oh, yeah.
And how do you walk away from that? Like, what was happening inside that really twisted you, that you were just finding that it wasn't giving you fulfillment?
I don't know how else to explain it other than as I was approaching the end of my current contract. Your life kind of runs in these 3-year chunks, right? And I was 6 months away from my end of my current contract. And I remember having a conversation with my wife, and I was like, I feel like I'd be slapping God in the face to stay in this.
Wow.
It was something inside. There was this longing for something more. It was fun, don't get me wrong, but it felt like, not to go super deep right away, but like it felt like my soul was like crying for something more. You know what I mean? It was pressing in for something deeper. Doing the weather year after year was great, but it wasn't satisfying the longings of my heart. And I didn't know what else was next, but I felt like I would have been literally not honoring who God created in me had I stayed another 3 years. I had no idea what was coming. I had no idea that the next 15 years would turn out the way that they have. But that was kind of the first step, and that was the first major move I made where it made people really scratch their head. It caught a lot of people off guard, caught my family off guard, and even they didn't understand it because they were like, why would you give this up? People would kill to have
because
this job.
At the end of your 3 years, I would imagine that you have at that point, like you said, your stock is rising. You can renegotiate a better contract, probably the best contract of your career, and to walk away. But I also think that what you're saying speaks to many people that are listening, because we've all been in our careers where we're in a monotonous situation and you're doing it over and over and you forget why you got into it to begin with.
There you go.
Or it has no purpose whatsoever.
Right.
You're making good money.
Yep.
Your family's living well. They're taking vacations, but something is missing inside.
And that is what people are longing for at the end of the day. We think that more success, more money, more stuff will satisfy the soul. You know what satisfies the soul? Alignment with who we are. I work with a lot of professionals all over the country. If I have a chance to do a lunch and learn or some sort of training, I'll walk people through an exercise, and I'll start with 2 questions. I'll say, describe you operating at your most optimal level. Logistics aside, like get rid of logistics and logic, but like, who are you? Like, Chris, who are you? Like, let's go out a year. Who are you when you're operating at your most optimal level? Let's say like my business is thriving. I'm working with the people that I want to work with. Like, there's excellence. I'm surrounded by excellence. These are just examples of what I heard, right? Like, for me, I'm like, I see myself on bigger stages. I have bigger impact. It's not about my ego. It's about I'm operating bigger. I'm doing bigger things. I'm having more impact. There's more connection, right? And so I always challenge people to think about who are they in their most optimal state. And then the second question is more important. It's if I can get you to go there in your mind, what do you feel? I just did this 2 weeks ago with a group of insurance salesmen. And there was one gentleman I was working with, his name was Scott, and he was actually giving me some feedback, right? And so I said, Scott, who are you? And he described his business. He described how much money he was making. He described the projects he was working on. He described how he got a second home in Florida. He described his freedom, right? And I said, Scott, how do you feel? He said, I'd feel happy. I'd feel purposeful. I'd feel connected. I'd feel at peace. And I wrote down those 4 words and I circled them. And I said, Scott, you just described the longing of the human heart. The human soul longs for these things. It wants to be at ease. It wants to feel connected, right? We think the success is what does it. This is what we're actually longing for. So again, I look at life through the lens of my soul. I unknowingly, leaving TV 14 years ago, I give myself a lot of credit. It didn't make a lot of sense on paper, but I was looking at life, but I wouldn't have articulated it at that time, but I was looking at my life through the lens of my soul and how God created me, and I made decisions based on that to honor that person, not the success that person was experiencing. Does that make sense?
It does, but there's a piece that I'm missing here. For guys like Scott, who wrap up their worth in their job, or in order to get to those 4 things that you mentioned, which is what our heart wants and our soul wants, we don't know any other path to get there, but I have to perform at a very high level in my job in order to make a certain amount of money.
Yep.
That my worth is wrapped there. And everybody, it's something that I've noticed over the last few years is that we've become addicted to the problem solving. We become addicted to the money. We become addicted to the next deal.
Yep.
But I don't understand the path to get to those four things without taking this journey with this. And so, but I feel like there's a bigger purpose. I just don't know how you get there.
So I continue the conversation with Scott, and I think you make a really, 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 really powerful observation, right? Now, if you feel like your current job is just way out of alignment, like that's another story. But let's assume that what you're doing is good, right? Like being an insurance salesman is good. Yeah. Being a mortgage broker, fantastic. If this is in alignment with who you are, amazing. Keep going. The trick is how do you trick your body to experience those four things now? And that's what I said to Scott. So I said, how can you position yourself and train your nervous system to feel that now, not when or if you get them? See, most people have this backwards. They think once I reach a certain level of success, money, income, whatever accolade it is, then I will feel peace, connection, purpose, right? Mm-hmm. The trick, and this is what I'm finding out even recently, is to train my nervous system to experience that now. There's three things that make up your personal reality. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this. It's how you think, it's how you act, and it's how you feel. These three things make up your personal reality, or your personality, as he would say. These things need to shift to experience a transformation. Isn't it interesting that most books on personal development, especially when it comes to money, if you want to make more money, if you read all the books on money, they will talk about mostly two of the three. The majority of them will talk about things you need to do. You need to change how you act. Mm-hmm. Okay, so like if you want more success, you want to make more money, do something more or do something less. Do something, strategy, right? I'm an old Dave Ramsey protege, right? I've read all the Dave Ramsey books. He's like, stop spending so much money. Get out of credit card debt. Don't rack up more debt on your cards, on your car, right? Like save more. It's doing. It's X's and O's. It's strategies. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of other books will talk more about how you think. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill is a quintessential example. That book was written 100 years ago. Anybody in personal development has read this book. Okay. It's about exactly what the title is. Yeah. If you can think differently, you will start to grow rich, meaning whatever you're thinking about increases. Mm-hmm. And there is some truth to that. I've even known people to take like $20 and $100 bills. And I've seen people on Instagram do this. They're like, I just Post-it note in my office in my house with $20 bills. So everywhere I look, there's money. And so that means if there's money everywhere, then I'm thinking about money because I'm seeing money, and that which I think about increases. So therefore I'm attracting. Listen, I've done this. It doesn't work. In fact, it actually reminds me of how much money I don't have. Yeah, and it actually sometimes reminds me that I want more, and that puts me in a deeper state of lack or need, which is the opposite of what you're trying to produce, right? The one that is talked about the least is the third one. It's how you feel. And I'm not talking about being tossed and turned by your emotions. We shouldn't be drawn by your emotions. I feel that there's an emotion, capital E. What foundational emotion can we train our nervous system to feel and experience peace, connectedness, fulfillment, right? Purpose. Mm-hmm. So it feels safe. You see, your soul, I talked about our soul right off the bat. Your soul is optimized for the infinite. It longs for the limitless. It wants that. It craves. That's why we as human beings, when we feel stuck, it sucks. Mm-hmm. Feeling stuck is like one of the worst feelings ever. Like when you're trapped in your own life. Why? Because your soul is longing for more. But your body, meaning your physical body, your brain, your nervous system, it is optimized to whatever feels safest or familiar. So we as human beings, we're about the same age. We've been living on this earth for several decades. Mm-hmm. We have trained our body to a certain program, to experience, to be used to a certain reaction, a certain way of feeling. And so I believe the cheat code is, can we retrain our body how to feel? Can I trick it to feeling fulfilled and at peace and to like I have everything? Can I trick my body into feeling whole, whether I have a lot or I have a little, whether I'm crushing it or whether I'm stuck? Can I train my body to feel safe in this moment regardless of what is actually happening? And then does that open up the door to receive more? And what I have found personally and the people that I've helped is that the answer is yes.
And it clicks at that point.
You are allowing your body to receive that which it didn't have a place for it to land when you do that.
I hear you. But I think the problem with most people is they don't feel worthy of that. And so as you're talking to people over and over, how do you unlock that piece of it? Because there's a yearning and there's people that are stuck. But I think for many people, and I've dealt with it, I've seen as I've coached people that they can't even see that because there's a internal blockage of, well, it's just those things aren't meant for me. Yeah. So how do you help people, unlock that from your perspective?
Again, you're very wise because you're already understanding the buttons that need to get pushed. I talk about this sometimes. Like, if you want to go to the next level, what buttons do you need to push? What levers do you need to pull? One of those is going all in, which we're going to talk about at some point. Mm-hmm. Another one is belief.
Okay.
I break this down from stage usually in 3 parts. There's belief in 3 things that we need to understand. Belief in our cause, meaning that's that connectedness. We have to feel connected to what we're doing. Your people, the people that are in your business. Do you believe in this cause? I mean, how the heck are you going to feel increase and expansion when you don't even believe in what you're doing? It's impossible, right? So you need to believe in your cause, then you need to believe in yourself. You have to believe that you were chosen for such a time as this. Like there's a reason why you were born literally when you were born into the family you were born into to deal with some of the challenges of life at this moment. This is no accident. And again, let me just back up for a second. There's a foundational belief that I have. I believe that our lives are way more choreographed than we could ever fully understand. Divinely, precisely, down to the microsecond, choreographed by the choreographer, capital C, whatever name you want to give that, I'm cool with whatever, right? But we have more say, we have more choice than we've been led to believe. So yes, there's some choreographing into our lives, but we get a say in what routes we choose. And what decisions we make will dictate how far we want to take this train, right? To me, that makes life exciting. So I get a say. Now, that may not mean a lot to a lot of people. It means a lot to me. I was raised, by a single mom who was very dysfunctional. I had an alcoholic older brother. I didn't feel like I had a say when I was a kid. So now at 48 years old, or almost 48 years old, where I'm I actually get a say, that makes life exciting, right? Yeah. The third piece of belief is that you have to believe, interestingly enough, you nailed it, you have to believe that you deserve it. If you don't believe that you deserve it, it's going to be very hard to receive, okay? I think that this world, I think that we are here on this planet, to go really deep with you right away, is we're here to receive something. I think the greatest thing that we can do in life is to receive. It's not about us, it's all about me to receive. What I'm trying to say is that this world has something for us. And the way that we receive it is we actually step into it. And the more that we step into it, the more that we receive it, right? But you make a good point. If I don't feel that I deserve it, how the heck am I going to receive something, right?
Absolutely.
You asked, how do you change that? It has to come down to the baseline identity of who you believe that you are, which comes down to a belief system, right? I share this from stage, and I'll share it with you. I'm sure it was going to come up at some point. My mother was the youngest of 4, grew up with an alcoholic father. When my parents divorced when I was 8, I was I was the emotional caretaker of the family.
Interesting. Okay.
So she was taking care of me, but I was definitely the emotional barometer, right? One of my most common memories was her crying. She cried a lot. She was very depressed, chronic depression, I'm sure. Very low self-esteem, high anxiety.
And those are it's the worst that you
Bad
could have to deal with for a kid,
right.
Growing up in that, yeah.
Right. My dad was 3 states away, so there really wasn't a lot of reprieve. And again, on top of that, my older brother was an alcoholic, so a lot of chaos, right?
Was he already an alcoholic at that time? Okay.
Yep, even at that time.
How many years older?
10 years.
Oh, 10 years.
So I was 8, he was 18, out of the house. So I was kind of raised an only child with my mom, a lot of chaos, and always trying to figure that out. Going back to how we feel, I had trained my nervous system starting at 8 years old that the way that I feel safe is to just work and always try to be successful, because that was the only way that I could feel safe.
Absolutely.
Now,
Control, yeah.
30, 40 years later, you've got a guy who can't slow down because the only way that I feel safe is to keep going.
Absolutely.
So up until recently, I'm not very good at resting.
Is that because you're afraid to? Is that because you're afraid to be alone with your thoughts, or is it because
all of it?
All of it. Oh yeah.
All of it. If I stop, the world's coming to get me, because my life was one continual problem after another. Every time my phone rang, it's a problem. So the only way that it's up to me to always solve problems, and those problems are perpetuating. So if I ever stop, that means the problems are piling up. Now, this isn't true, but that's what I had trained my nervous system
Without
to
a doubt,
believe.
yeah, absolutely.
You see the point?
Yeah.
So going back to my mom, she had a massive hole in her heart.
Ooh.
Not literally, but like spiritually, emotionally.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And she hated herself. And how do I know that? It would tell me.
Yeah.
It was very clear by her actions, the way that she interacted with the world, is that she hated herself. I looked at her relationships as I was growing up. Holy cow, they were toxic at best, right? And I would always come back to this idea of just giving her the truth. Just giving her the truth. Just tell her what is the truth. Look through that abrasive exterior, which people that are broken have, and just see her down to the soul level and try to love her at that level. And I feel like I did a pretty good job of that.
So as a child, I mean, as a kid or, an adolescent, you were having to try to navigate, like, how do I overcome these things in the personality, which is like a highly skilled emotional trait to have at such a young age.
Had to get some emotional intelligence early in the game, right? As an adult, now she has grandkids. She has my kids. I would go visit her at her apartment, and I would find pictures of her with my kids, her grandkids, and she had taken a scissors and she'd cut her face out because she hated even looking at herself. She hated the mirror. Right?
So sad.
She passed away just over a year ago to date, and when she passed away, up until her very last breath, I was giving her the truth. I was telling her what her soul desired, which was the truth. I would say, in those last moments and days. By the way, if you've ever lost a parent, very powerful. Mm-hmm. If you've ever had the honor of being their bedside when a parent passes, some of the most powerful moments of your life. It was for me. Not the best, powerful, but even in those final moments of her life, I just told her, I said, "Mom, you're such a beautiful woman." And she was, but she didn't believe that. And so whatever your truth is versus the truth, your truth will usually be a lower level example of what the truth is. I said, "Mom, you were a great mom." Did she make some mistakes? Yeah, I'm a parent, so I know what that's like. Mm-hmm. She did the best that she possibly could. I remember her asking me many times, "Was I a good mom?" And I'd always remind her that she was, even though she made some mistakes. And so in those final moments, "Mommy, you were such a good mom. I loved being your son. I'm so honored to be your son." And mind you, while she was alive, I had a lot of mentors say, "You know what, maybe it's time for you to divorce your mom." Not literally, but it's time for you to separate because it could be a little rough and toxic at times and maybe not healthy for you.
I mean, this is enough for people on the outside exterior to say, this is impacting you in a way that we think you need to have a little bit of a separation here. That's a big deal.
I had a pastor one time say, "I think it's time for you just to take a break from your mom for a long time."
Yeah.
And did I have boundaries? Yes.
Yeah.
And were those boundaries, gray at times? Mm-hmm. But, when she passed, my wife asked me, she goes, "How do you feel?" And I said, "I feel like I'm so much more passionate about this message because I don't have a degree in psychology. Mm-hmm. I don't have a bunch of letters after my name. However, I had a front row seat for, at the time, 46 years to a woman who lived with a belief system that she didn't deserve it." So let's go back to your question. How do you change that? You have to change a foundational identity of who you actually are. You can't outwork that one. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And people will try to outwork to make up for a lack of deservantship. I don't know if deservantship is an actual word. I use it all the time. But so they'll try to fill in the gap.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah.
Right. So is it possible for us to receive more? Because again, why are we here? We're here to receive something. Mm-hmm. Is one of the tools to unlock the ability to receive something more actually to believe that we're actually worthy to receive it? And again, the answer is yes. So how do you do that? You got to get hyper aware. You got to get hyper aware of what you believe and, more importantly, why you believe it. And you got to gnaw on that. Again, I'm not perfect, but I got to tell you, in the last 4 years, I've done a lot of inner work. I spend a lot of time dissecting what I think and why I think it. That doesn't mean like going back into the past and living in the past, but if there is something that is out of alignment with this, with what is maybe blocking the ability for me to receive, I'm going to replace that truth.
You have to find that root cause, and
Let's find that out and replace it with the truth. And as a result, perhaps instantly, more times than not over the course of time, your belief system about who you actually are changes. And then as a result, your ability to receive something more also changes and goes up. And for people that I've worked with, as they change their belief system, whether about the world, their past, their present, their future, their level of deservantship, all of a sudden, guess what happens, Chris? Bam, opportunities start flowing in. Things that you can't explain, new coincidences start showing up. Why? Because it's a technology, and you're now opening up the circuitry to receive. And they thought the deficit was that they weren't working hard enough, or it's their boss, or the market. And you know who it was? It was them. It was their own belief system.
99% of the time.
Yes.
I mean, as I coach people, one of the things that I'll usually come to is, I'm going to help you get to the next level, and we need to figure out what the problem is. But 90% of the time, it's going to be you. Yep. Are you going to be okay with that? And are you how open-minded are you going to be to making a change that has to happen? Because it's not the market, it's not anything except that we have to unlock something in you to get to that next level. But 90% of the time, it's usually the person.
Let's go back to that nervous system talk that we just talked about. Why is regulating our nervous system so important? Let's go back to that question. Because I lived in lack, fear, scarcity, all those words, that's where I lived. COVID was terrifying to me. Like, just because it was so uncertain. Remember, I'm longing for safety and certainty because since I was young, I had trained my body to be almost optimized for the chaos, right? And so as much as uncomfortable as it was like, that's what I was used to. So whenever I was stressed, pressured, felt lack, it was like, just grind harder, just pace around all night long at 3 o'clock in the morning and worry. And those were not producing the results I wanted, but that's what I had trained my nervous system to experience. There was a foundational experience that happened recently, and this changed a lot of things for me, and it woke me up to realize how powerful this concept is. So I fired myself from a 6-figure corporate job in the financial world 2 years ago. 45 years old, 4 kids, no backup plan. So I was set to launch my book like in 4 months. I wanted to do speaking, teaching, coaching full time. I'd already kind of started that process. I launched my book on November the 19th, 2024. This book launch was going to like accelerate my business. So now I've got a business that I can stand on, feed my family, and do the rest of my life. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Sounds amazing.
And there's no backup plan. Yeah. Like, I was the backup plan, So already my nervous system is like on edge, but this is not the first time I've jumped into the unknown. So let's rock and roll. Book launch comes and goes, does exactly what it's supposed to do. It creates this nice wave of momentum, online energy. People are texting me saying, dude, like, I can feel the energy building, like I did it right. So this is good. My phone is starting to ring, opportunities coming in. And 2 weeks to the day later, 2 weeks to the day, on December the 3rd, I wake up to a Facebook hack. And by the end of the day, it was like the worst day of my life. By 10 a.m., hackers had my Social Security number, driver's license number.
Wow.
Passwords started getting changed without me approving that. Wow. By 4 p.m., money was being emptied out of my accounts, transactions that were unapproved.
Wow.
Now we're on the phone. My wife and I are on the phone from basically 5 until 11 p.m. At one point, it was so terrifying. At one point, I was in the bathroom, and I'm a pretty big guy, on the floor in the fetal position, screaming bloody murder, dry heaving in the toilet. My 4 children were terrified. Like, they're outside.
What was the sorry to interrupt, but like, what was the when you think about it, was it a loss of control, or was it was it more like literally for me, it would have probably been the money gone and how do I get it back?
No.
But it was for you, is like, it's such, you've said this a couple of times, right?
Yeah.
I've seen you on stage. And we got hacked one time. My wife did, similar. But the reaction, it seems to have a very deep impact, and I'm trying to understand why that is.
Well, again, consider the context, right?
Yeah.
I had trained my nervous system to be like, as long as I'm growing, I'm okay. And so I had this momentum was going up, and every time, the deeper we went into that day, it was more being stolen from me.
Another
every moment that I'm in this, my momentum on my business is going, every second going by, it's going down, right? And so my nervous system is completely redlined. Like, I am literally having a breakdown. We were on the phone for 5 or 6 hours trying to stop it, freeze my credit. I mean, we finally solidified my identity by like 11 o'clock at night. I mean, this was all day, dude. 11 o'clock at night, my credit's frozen. My name's on a national fraud list. I'm out thousands of dollars. All my social media accounts are either deleted or...
And you can't even get them back.
I can't get into them because the passwords are all changed. My phone is dinging constantly.
Facebook, nobody has a help desk. Nobody's helping you.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Try calling Meta, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm out thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
I can barely get into my computer.
Yeah.
My phone, I'm scared to even look at it because it's dinging constantly. Yeah. Pure terror. I mean, honestly, not to over dramatize it, it was like the worst day of my life.
Wow.
Everybody goes to bed. I don't sleep a wink. 4 o'clock in the morning, I text my friend Craig, who's on the East Coast. 5 o'clock East Coast time. I said, Craig, who's a mentor friend of mine, a business coach at the time, I said, Craig, if you got a second, call me. He calls me, and I remember this conversation almost verbatim because it was like so ingrained in my memory, right? He says, Jerrid, he goes, this is going to be the best thing that ever happens to you. First thing he says, he goes, the fact that this showed up 2 weeks after you launched your book, what a phenomenal thing.
What a great guy.
And I said, okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was just, my nervous system was still just completely.
Yeah, you don't want to hear that at that point.
He goes, we'll laugh about this someday, not today, not tomorrow. He goes, you will be so thankful this happened someday. He goes, then he said this, he goes, be honored this happened. He goes, be flattered that God would allow something like this to happen. He goes, I don't know why, doesn't matter. But he goes, buckle up. But he said, you surrender it. He goes, the faster you surrender the money, the social media, the faster it will come back. He goes, what can you do right now? I go, I can't do anything. Now, what did I train my nervous system to do? Do.
Yeah.
When stress hits, react. Like, grind more.
You had to break that cycle.
Come hell or high water, I'll figure it out, right? And so he said, you sit and you relax and you don't worry about it. And I took him up on his crazy offer. And I got to tell you, for 30 days, like the whole month of December, I thought I was going to die because I had trained my nervous system to react. Yeah. And I literally couldn't because there was nothing that I could do. Yeah. If you look at my phone, the whole month of December, there's literally not a picture taken. I was just basically in like,
really?
Oh yeah, dude. I was still maxed out. I'll spare you a lot of the details, but like January came around, I had the biggest month of my life. On the heels of a month where I didn't even have any social media. Yeah. I didn't even have an audience. I couldn't even send a mass email because it would just get tagged as spam. Dude, I could not communicate with my audience. Wow. And I came back and business deals started coming in. And then February topped it. And then doubled it in March. And then in March, guess what happened? My mom passed away. And I had this powerful event now dropped into my movie yet again. And I remember some of the stuff that Craig had told me 3 months prior. And then my lovely wife asked me the night that my mom passed, and she says, how do you feel? And I said, I feel so honored that this happened. What a weird thing to say after the death of somebody.
Yeah.
And then I said this, I go, I feel like God is actually inviting me into a new level. I feel different. I feel more powerful. And I don't mean powerful like arrogant power. I mean, I feel different. I felt changed. 4 days later, I was on stage in front of like 450 teachers at a university in Minnesota. I shared the story of my mom passing days earlier, one of the most powerful talks I ever did.
Wow.
10 weeks later, my brother overdoses,
my goodness.
passed away. Now, the crazy thing about that is that when my dad is telling me that my brother passed away, and by the way, he had been an addict for 30 years. If you have an addict in your family, you are preparing yourself for the phone call. You know what I'm talking about? But when the phone call comes, it is 100% surreal. You can't believe that you're actually getting the phone call that you have literally prepared years for, right? But when my dad told me that my brother passed away, I was devastated. I was devastated for our family. I was devastated for his kids. I was devastated for his grandkids. The crazy thing is, Chris, and I don't know how else to explain it, it won't sound right. It won't justify the feeling. I got excited. I wasn't excited that he passed. Don't hear that. I got excited that God was trusting me with allowing another event to happen. And here I am now 6, 7, 8 months later after that, after all of that stuff. And I can look back and I can be like, oh, I felt that way because I understood something I didn't understand before, because I went through that with my mom 3 months prior. And the reason why my mom's passing was so powerful, I received it, is because 3 months before that, I lost my identity. And something shifted in my nervous system, which allowed me to feel safety in the chaos, and then open the door to receive something more. And I said this to my wife, like literally last week, and I was like, that's what made that so powerful. I'm now connecting the dots. Why is it important that we can regulate our nervous system? Because if we can regulate our nervous system and experience, just like Scott, go back to Scott. Scott, if you can experience peace, joy, connectedness, purpose, even when you don't quote unquote have it, which you do, by the way, side note, you do. But if you can allow your nervous system to calm and experience and feel that, your subconscious starts to shift, and it opens up the door for you to actually receive something that's already in front of you. I have this crazy belief, everything that I could ever want or dream of in my life is right in front of me. I believe that for you. I believe that for anybody listening to this. Everything all the deals that you could possibly want, the fulfillment that you're searching for, it's right in front of us. The only stoppage, as you've mentioned, is us.
Yeah.
And if we can press these right buttons, we can create an atmosphere in our inner being to actually be able to receive them. They're not out there. They're not someday. It's right in front of us if we have the audacity to receive it.
And step in. It's amazing. So, I mean, this is the framework you built, right? Life Undeferred, and you wrote a book on it. Talk to us about that. Like, walk us through that framework.
So Life Undeferred it's kind of a play off words, because I felt for like 43 years, I was living a life deferred. What does life undeferred mean? It means just that. You're waiting for something. Again, and I think that's how most people live. It's how I lived. I just kept waiting for something to show up. I waited for the world to validate me. I was waiting for some level of success to validate me, and so it was always someday. Someday I'll feel this way.
Just always like kicking the can for that next thing. Yeah.
I mean, TV was great, but it was 12 years of pretty much the same thing. It's kind of Groundhog's Day, and I think that's what we do. Like if we're not in tune to these things every day, it's kind of the same. It may look different on the outside. Every day is probably different to some extent. But if the internals are not shifting, we're running the same program. And if we're running the same program, that program has a very specific output. And it's going to be the same. No matter how much energy you throw into it, that program is going to produce a pretty specific output. So if I want a different output in my life, professionally, but personally, financially, physically, all of them, instead of just grinding harder, let's change the program. And when you change the program, then the size of the container shifts, right? The key, that's why I go back to this idea of grinding. Here's the problem with grinding. It works.
For some, works. I mean, I'll tell you, for me, one of my assistants was telling me this one, she doesn't work with me anymore, but one of the things, like on her way out, she was like, you do this thing whenever your back's against a wall or you feel or you perceive your back to be against a wall, you don't sit in it. You just start filling up your calendar.
Right.
And because she had to manage my calendar, she's like, she could tell the state I was in by the amount of appointments she was having to schedule with me. Right. And so she's like, I don't understand why you do that. You just fill your calendar and it's just chaos for the rest of the next couple of weeks. But you do that every time you do it. So, I think a lot of times we feel like, okay, I got to create motion in order, but sometimes I also feel like we got to just sit back and reflect and watch and wait and attract versus, actually running out for it, because I think that creates more chaos than anything.
It's both. So it sounds like I'm kind of contradicting myself. It's both.
I think that of course there has to be some level of balance.
Yeah, it's going out and getting it.
Yeah.
It's 100% all in, but it's also 100% surrender to the outcome. It's being all in on effort, but being all out on what actually transpires. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There was I mentioned this the other day to somebody. What you do, meaning filling up your calendar, like you're under stress. Maybe maybe business is kind of like hurting. Not hurting, but like there's a little bit of a shift in business.
Without a doubt, yeah.
So it's like, all right, well, I'm going to counteract that by filling up my schedule, and I'm going to fricking go make this happen, baby. Which I think is a good trait.
Yeah.
It's not what you do, and I want to say this slowly, because I need to understand this a little bit better. It's not what you do, Chris. It's from where you do it from. Meaning, if you look at your business and it's like it's kind of we're entering kind of a weird zone, and socioeconomic things are happening, and I don't know what's going to happen. And if that kicks off an emotion of fear or lack or panic, and from the place of panic you fill up your calendar, that's reacting. Rarely does that open the door to receive. However, if in the midst of the uncertainty where the economy takes a little bit of a dip, and there's a war or rumors of war or something society that's happening, there's uncertainty. But in the moment of uncertainty, I can train my nervous system, or at least feel certain. I feel whole. I feel at peace. Remember, it goes back to feeling. In the uncertain times, can I feel whole and then act from that place, which might look like the same thing. It might look like I fill up my schedule. However, I'm doing it from a place of wholeness, not reacting to scarcity and panic. That's different. So I'm not in any way, shape, saying like, oh, well, when things get tough, just sit back and relax and receive it. No. You're going to be all in on effort. But where are you doing it from? From what inner place is it coming from? I got to tell you, for 43 years, everything I did, Chris, came from a place of fear, lack, and scarcity. The last couple of years, I've understood that, if I can be certain, even in uncertain times, get to that posture internally, then I act from there with no attachment to the outcome, I have different results. The opportunities start to come out of nowhere. I'm at airports, and all of a sudden people recognize me in Florida, and they're like, hey, would you come speak at our event? And I'm like, yeah. How do you explain that stuff? That stuff happens so much more now because I'm shifting the internals. There's a technology. When you start to understand this technology of how this world works, you can start to press on the right buttons. And when you do that, you see different outcomes, and it makes life really bold and exciting.
I love that. I love that there is a framework around, like there's this idea of, if I'm hearing you right, it's like you're creating this surface level of, you're increasing your surface level of exposure, but through that, you're also getting more, you're receiving more because of it. And so, but there is an intentionality over it versus a reaction or reflex mode.
Huge.
So moving into, you said something in your speech that is such this like tried and true idea around being all in, but it resonated with me with the way that you told it. Because I think a lot of people commit to a job or commit to a goal or commit to something, yet they have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Or they just are not completely committed to it because either they don't believe they're worthy of it. They feel like maybe they were peer pressured into, saying something that the world thought that they should say, but they really don't, they're not tied to it. But so they're not all in on the idea. How do you help somebody, get there? How do you frame it in a way that helps them understand that they're not truly all in and what it means to be all in?
Yeah. It's a great question and it's a great observation. I think a lot of people think they're all in and they're not really all in. And you've watched some of my videos and stuff. I say 99% is really good, but it's not 100. You know what I mean? Like if you're batting 99% baseball, you have literally destroyed every record. You know what I mean? Like that's really, really good.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the technology. Again, don't hear this as like religious views, but like I believe like the creator of this universe is all in. Like his energy is all in. He's all in on me. He's fully committed to me. So if I want to connect to that type of realm, then I got to be all in, not just 99. And so there's a chasm. I mentioned in the last chapter of my book, there's this chasm between 99 and 100, right? Like it's just 1%, but like that could be a Grand Canyon drop, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you show people that they may not be all in?
That's the question. Yeah. That's $1 million question, because as I coach and mentor and have leaders out in the states that I work in, sometimes they'll tell me something, but I can tell like you're not really all in. You're not in alignment. Mm-hmm. But to call it out would be almost to offend in some cases. But how do you identify it, or how do you help somebody identify it?
I teach them that they're leaving potential to receive on the table when they don't. So instead of kicking them in the pants and being like, come on, Johnny, like go the extra mile. You know what I mean? Instead of trying to motivate them from that perspective, I just show them there might be something waiting for you when you do that. And again, give examples. I think you touched on it. I think a lot of people don't get what they want because they're kind of just dipping their toe in all over the place. I remember doing that.
Oh, I've done it all the time.
I can go back to seasons of my life. It's like I kind of try this, and somebody online said this, I should do this, and somebody on Instagram said I can make a lot of money if I do this, and I try it for a day. It doesn't work. Shocker. Yeah. Well, of course. Like, no wonder that the people that are super successful, like, you got to be a little bit obsessive. I think that obsession is actually healthy in a lot of respects, can be very negative. But, I mean, you look at the people who have done some incredible things. They're all in, man. Show me somebody who's built something powerful that wasn't all in. Michael Jordan, Elon. I mean, love them or hate them, like they're all in. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
But let me explain the technology. So back when I was dating my lovely wife 20 years ago, I was working in small market TV, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Great place to start. But after 5 years, I was ready to stop getting paid, $9 an hour and working for a last place station. I was ready to move to the next level. I'm dating my now wife at the time. She's all in. She wants to get married. She's fully committed. I'm committed as well. I'm not going anywhere. I want to get married, but not yet. So I was committed to her, but I wasn't 100%. And as you know, anybody who's been married, there's a big difference between committed and married. With difference. All due respect, there's a difference there.
Yeah,
massive. And again, it might just be one tick on the ruler, but that's a big jump. I think, I'm not going to go there in the marriage counseling. That's probably why a lot of people maybe don't get married, is because that is a big jump, even though it's like when we're together. Yeah, but that's the next level. I felt like God was literally keeping me in Sioux Falls and not opening a door until I sealed the deal with this gal.
Okay.
And here's how I know. The harder I tried to get out, the more doors kept closing. I talk about how I started pursuing jobs I didn't even want. With all due respect to anybody here listening from Iowa, I was after a job in Iowa that I didn't even want, but I wanted out so bad I pursued this job in Iowa. Got turned down for a job that I was probably overqualified for in a state I didn't even want to live. And I was like, I remember telling my friend Jeremy, I was like, Jeremy, I feel like literally God's keeping me here. He is not opening a door until I seal the deal, go 100% in, buy the ring, propose, and then someday down the road, some door will just effortlessly open. I said that. The following Tuesday, true story, I was at work. In TV, you go to work at like 2, 3 in the afternoon, you work till 10 o'clock at night, right? I had some downtime in the afternoon. I knew the ring she wanted. And so I bought the ring. She didn't know this. Nobody knew it. But I called the jewelry store, gave them my credit card, and bought it. Make sense? Mm-hmm. 1 hour later, my phone rings from KPNX in Phoenix, Arizona. And when I picked up the phone, I knew in that moment I had this job. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know that KPNX knew who I was. I knew who they were. Mm-hmm. I never even applied for a job here, Chris.
Just open up.
Yes. He says,
hey, you committed.
We've been looking for a guy for a while. We talked to somebody that knows you. They said that you're ready. They said that you're the man. We want to fly you out next week and interview you. And I was like, I just started laughing. How do you explain that? Mm-hmm. Like in that moment, I knew I was going to get married. I knew we were going to start our married life in Phoenix. I knew I was going to KPNX in Phoenix, Arizona, which is a bigger market than even my home state of Minneapolis, right? And that's exactly what happened. 1 hour after I jumped the chasm from 99 to 100, right? Now, was that a coincidence? I don't know, but you know what? I choose to believe, Chris, that it wasn't. I choose to believe that opportunity was sitting there the whole time, and it was waiting for me to connect the circuitry. David Meltzer talks about the idea of relativity. He says, you have the power to give value to things that have happened in your life, right? So here's the deal. I don't know if it was a coincidence, but you know what? I believe it. I choose to believe it. And the more that I choose to believe that that wasn't just some random act, that our lives are actually choreographed, but we have more say in this world than you will ever fully understand, that gives me power. That empowers me. Now, all of a sudden, when I'm dealing with challenges and I'm going through difficult things, I receive them with honor because I know this universe and it's all-knowing power. It's trying to elevate me. It's trying to give me something I don't have. Yeah. And when you engage with that, you can take this train as far as you want to take it. You know, you're 50, I'm almost 48. Dude, we're just getting started, right? Like if you're crushing it, you're just getting started. If you're stuck, there's another level waiting for you if we have the audacity to receive something, but we have to become something more to receive it. And that's the name of the game.
I love that. That's like literally the perfect place to stop on this. But I'll ask this. So I was so lucky to see you speak on stage in San Francisco at an event that Arjun was having. You did a phenomenal job. Where can the listeners find you if they want to connect with you or they want to hire you for speaking? Where do we find you?
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I love this conversation. Yeah. As you can tell, your business is fascinating. I'm getting to know more of it. It's not easy. I give you and the people that are working in this business, it is a grind. It's a heavy lift. And so I want people to hear me that like the difficulty is the ticket to expansion. You know what I mean? Like if you're going through, if life feels really heavy, personally, professionally, I want you to know these things are happening for you, not to punish you, but if you can see the deeper, the dimension that's waiting there and receive even the difficult things with honor, there's a correction that you can take and it will open the door for something more.
Yeah, I think people tend to fall in victimhood.
Yes.
And you use the word in such an awkward way for me in the beginning, but I'm starting to accept it as, you know, if you can accept it with honor versus be a victim to it, then it really can open up so much more of a different aspect of your life that you can sit in the corner and cry about it, or you can really look at what is the world teaching me. Yeah. But the word honor is a very interesting way to look at it, and I love that.
Well, again, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to do, and it takes a lot of audacity and courage. But when I can help people slow down and see the most difficult things and help them see them as what if. Now, I'm not telling you, what if it's actually trying to help you go to the next level, you will then receive it. You won't fight it. You will receive it with honor, and then that opens the door to the next level. So I just want to leave your listeners with that. You want to find more about me, I love to play online, Instagram, and LinkedIn specifically. My handle is just my name, Jerrid Sebesta. Okay. My website's jerridsebesta.com.
Well, man, this was, first off, as you were talking, I was thinking about like all the clips that we're pulling from this. But, I mean, you're going to make a huge impact onto a lot of people. And I know, how long have you been actually on the stages? And, you know, when did you write the book exactly?
I mean, I've been speaking for a living for a long time, but full-time only 2 years.
Okay, yeah.
Wrote the book just under 2 years ago. But I will tell you that the message continues to morph because, again, think of it like this. If I want to take people to deep places, which I do, I don't want to be a motivational speaker. I want to be a transformational speaker.
I love that.
That's what I want to be. So if I truly want to help transform people, I have to go to deep waters.
Yeah, well, what I love about what you do and watching you on stage is that your message is easy to understand. You speak in a way that I can absorb. It's very, you're not using big words. You're very, authentic in it. But I watched you, impact a room, and I think you're going to continue to impact lives. And it's why I wanted to introduce you to my audience, because I feel like there are people out there that will need you speaking at their events, and they need to get you, because I watched you. You made a big impact on me, and I just want to thank you, because I met you, and we were speaking at the same event, but we didn't actually meet there. I just DM'd you later and was like, hey, I would love to get you on the podcast. You're like, I will fly there. And so the fact that you came all the way out here is amazing, and thank you. I hope you guys have a safe trip back, but the fact that you're on Breakthrough today means a lot to us. And so for those of you that are listening, if you like what you heard, take a snapshot of this, tag us both on Instagram, and let us know what meant something to you in this so we can do more content like that. So thank you very much, and thank you for being here today.
Awesome.